Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the complex forces shaping your world. If you're looking for clear, actionable insights to get ahead, especially with your finances, you are in the right place. Today, we are looking ahead to 2026. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds ages away, right? But the financial traps that could seriously derail your future, well, they're being set right now. In this explainer, we are going to dig into 7 of the most critical money traps forecasted for the near future. And more importantly, we're giving you the playbook on how to sidestep them. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel because you are not going to want to miss our next breakdown. Okay, let's just dive right into the big question. Is your money actually safe in 2026? Now, if you only glance at the headlines, you might be breathing a little sigh of relief. We keep hearing that inflation is finally coming down from those crazy peaks, and there's this general vibe that the UK economy is kind of stabilizing after a few years of, well, total shock. And it's so tempting to see that and think, phew, okay, we can finally relax a bit. But honestly, that's exactly where the danger is hiding. New threats are lurking just beneath the surface, and they aren't these big, flashy crises. No, they target something much quieter and much more personal: your financial inaction. So what's really going on is that the economy is walking what experts are calling a narrow path, a tightrope between the old dangers and the new ones. And guess what? Your personal finances are walking that exact same tightrope. The threats of yesterday, that runaway double-digit inflation, they're starting to fade. But in their place, new, more sneaky challenges are popping up. This explainer, think of it as your map for that path. We are going to walk you through these subtle but really significant financial threats forecasted for 2026. And most importantly, we are going to lay out the clear, practical, and actionable steps you need to take to build your defenses. First up, to really get a grip on these new traps, we have to understand the new financial landscape we're all living in. Think of the last few years as a massive financial storm. Now, that storm might be passing, but when the clouds clear, the ground underneath is completely different. We are in the middle of a major pivot. The intense pressures we just went through, they're not just vanishing into thin air, they're transforming. They're morphing into a whole different kind of pressure that requires a completely new mindset and a totally new strategy to get through it successfully. So what does this pivot actually look like? Well, this slide nails it. On the left, that was our life from 2022 to 2025, right? It was this all-out assault on our wallets. We had crazy high inflation eating away at every single pound we earned, and painfully high interest rates that made mortgages and loans just eye-wateringly expensive. It was a crisis you could really feel. Now look to the right, at what's predicted for 2026. The big threats are shifting. It's less of a direct assault and more of a slow squeeze. Yeah, high borrowing costs are starting to ease off, which is good, but they're being replaced by 2 new pressures: sticky, stubbornly high living costs that just refuse to come down, and a much higher potential tax burden as the government has to figure out how to pay back all the debt from the crisis. And what's fascinating is how the raw data here really tells that story of a slow squeeze. Let's break it down. The Bank of England base rate, it's expected to fall maybe to around 3.75%. On the surface, that sounds great for borrowers. But hold on, look at the other numbers. GDP growth is forecast to be pretty sluggish, just over 1%. That tells us the economy isn't exactly booming, which probably means our wages aren't going to be booming either. Then there's inflation. It's falling, sure, but it's still expected to hover around that 2% target, which means it's still a threat to any savings you have just sitting in cash. And finally, that energy price cap. It's forecast to stabilize at nearly £1,900. That is the new normal. So, while the sharp pain of rate hikes might be going away, that chronic, nagging pressure of high costs and slow growth is here to stay. It's a very, very mixed picture. All right, so now that we've set the stage, let's get to the main event, the 7 specific money traps you absolutely need to have on your radar. And look, these aren't some abstract economic theories you read about. Nope. These are concrete, predictable risks that can have a direct impact on your bank account, your home, and your future. But here's the key thing to remember. Because they are predictable, they are also preventable. But only if you're ready for them. The first trap, and you could argue it's the biggest one, is what we're calling the mortgage refinancing avalanche. This number, £94 billion, is just staggering. It's almost hard to comprehend. That represents the total value of fixed-rate mortgages that are all due for renewal in 2026 alone. Just think about that for a second. Millions of households across the country locked in mortgages when interest rates were at rock bottom. I'm talking 1%, 2% deals. Well, they are about to come to the end of those deals and step out into a much, much colder financial world where the new rates are going to be significantly higher. And this slide right here,
This shows the real personal cost of that avalanche. According to the Bank of England's own analysis, for over 1 million households, renewing their mortgage in this new environment could mean their monthly payment jumps by £500 or even more. Let's be crystal clear about what that is. That's an extra £6,000 a year after tax that a family has to find from somewhere. That is a family holiday canceled. That is savings goals completely wiped out. That is a huge, huge strain on the monthly budget. This isn't a maybe or a guess. It's a predictable financial shockwave that is already locked in and heading for a huge number of people. The trap isn't the rate rise itself. The real trap is failing to plan for it.
Okay, trap number 2 is the silent erosion of your savings. This one is quiet, it's sneaky, but it is so powerful. If the average savings account is paying you 3.44%, but inflation, the rate at which prices are rising, is running at 3.8%, your money is actively losing its buying power every single day. The number in your account might tick up a little, but what you can actually buy with it is going down. It's like your money is on a treadmill that's going backwards ever so slightly. If your cash is just sitting in a standard low-interest account, it's not safe. It's shrinking.
Let's move on to trap number 3, and this one targets our modern credit habits. You know that world of super easy, frictionless credit that's exploded over the last few years? Well, it's about to get a major reality check. Buy now, pay later services have become a normal part of life for millions, right? We use it for fashion, for electronics, for everything. But a regulatory cliff edge is coming. From July 15th, 2026, these loans will finally be properly regulated. That means they'll need the same strict affordability checks as any other loan or credit card. So for anyone who's come to rely on BNPL to smooth out their cash flow, well, that financial tap could suddenly be turned off.
The fourth trap is something we can call energy price inertia. As we saw in the data, energy prices are going to stay painfully high, settling into a new normal. The trap here isn't the price itself, it's our psychological reaction to it. Inertia. It's the failure to act. The real danger is just getting used to the high bills, accepting them as a fact of life, and then failing to make simple structural changes that offer guaranteed savings. I mean, look at this chart. A one-off investment in something like loft insulation could save you over 200 quid a year, every single year. Simple habits, like cutting your shower time or switching off devices on standby, can add up to another 100 quid or more. These aren't temporary deals. These are permanent cost reductions that put money straight back into your pocket.
Now for the 5th trap, and honestly, this one is truly sobering. It affects our long-term future, pension apathy. Auto-enrollment has been a massive success in getting more people to start saving, but it's also created this dangerous false sense of security. Just look at this chart. A shocking 1/3 of the entire UK workforce, that is 11.6 million people, are not saving enough to avoid poverty in their retirement. The official definition of a minimum retirement lifestyle is about £13,400 a year. That's a life with no car, no holidays abroad, and a really tight budget. For millions, just relying on the default auto-enrollment contribution is a direct path to that future. Okay, trap number 6 is a little different. This one isn't about a danger coming at you. It's about a huge opportunity that most people are just going to walk right past. It's unclaimed tax relief. A really significant positive rule change is coming for ISAs in April 2025. For the first time ever, you'll be able to pay into more than one ISA of the same type in a single tax year. Now, that might sound like a tiny technical change, but it's actually giving you a massive new superpower. It means you can open a new cash ISA to grab a market-leading interest rate without having to move all your old money. You can hunt for the best deals and maximize your tax-free growth like never before. The trap? Most people will either not know about this or just fail to act, leaving valuable tax-free money on the table out of sheer inertia. And the final trap, number 7, is the lifestyle debt spiral. This isn't about one big financial mistake. No, this is driven by those small, frequent overspends that feel like nothing at the time, but they add up to a major problem. This number says it all. A staggering 2/3 of UK adults admit they regularly go over budget on their weekly food shop. This is the most common, consistent financial leak in most households, and it's often the first step on a really dangerous path. It leads to a shortfall at the end of the month, which then gets plugged by a credit card or an overdraft or a loan. It's how manageable budgets slowly, quietly spiral into unmanageable debt. Okay, that was a lot, I know. Those are the 7 threats. It's a challenging landscape for sure, but now we get to the most important part of this entire explainer, the clear, actionable steps you can take right now to dodge these traps and build up your financial resilience. Because knowledge is only powerful when you actually act on it. We've gone through all the expert advice, and we've distilled it into 4 essential actions. Think of this as your survival checklist for 2026. It's this simple: optimize your cash, plan your mortgage now, cut your structural costs, and reset your pension. So let's walk through exactly what each one of these means in practice. First, and this is fundamental, you have to optimize your cash. This just means making every pound you're not spending work harder for you. Step 1 is to stop letting your bank give you a negative return. Look at your finances. You need an emergency fund, right? 3 to 6 months of living expenses in an easy access account. But any cash you have beyond that needs to be moved into accounts that are actually beating inflation. And crucially, starting in April 2025, you have to use that powerful new ISA flexibility. No more leaving your money in last year's rubbish low-rate ISA. You can now split your £20,000 allowance to hunt down the very best rates on the market, maximizing every single penny of tax-free interest.
Second, to avoid that 500 quid a month mortgage shock, you absolutely have to be proactive. You cannot wait for that renewal letter to land on your doormat. The key is to start early. Get in touch with an independent mortgage advisor 6 to 12 months before your current rate expires. This gives you the huge advantage of time. Time to polish your credit score, time to save a bit more if you need to, and time to scan the whole market to lock in the best possible deal. At the same time, you need to be aggressively paying down any of those high-interest debts like credit cards or personal loans. Lenders look at your whole debt situation, and clearing those expensive debts makes you look like a much better bet and will directly help the mortgage rate you get offered.
Third, you need to cut structural costs. This is all about making permanent, lasting dents in your cost of living, not just chasing temporary discounts. It means making smart, one-time investments that pay you back over and over again, like that loft installation we talked about. And it means changing your habits. In today's world, you have to change your mindset about supermarkets. Loyalty schemes like Nectar and Club Card, they are not optional extras anymore. They are mandatory tools just to get fair prices. Not using them is basically choosing to pay a penalty on your groceries every single week. And fourth, you have to reset your pension. You have to consciously switch from being a passive passenger in a scheme to being the active driver of your own future. Auto-enrollment is not enough. The single most important thing you can do today is log into your pension portal and find out what your employer's matching contribution is. So many employers will match what you put in up to a certain point. This is, and I'm not exaggerating, free money. It's part of your pay packet. Upping your payments to get every single free pound they're offering is the fastest way to turbocharge your retirement savings. And if you earn less than 10 grand and aren't auto-enrolled, you have to look into opting in voluntarily to get those vital employer top-ups.
So here's the crucial point. Successfully navigating the world of 2026 isn't about having a crystal ball. It's not about predicting the future. It's about understanding the predictable challenges that are coming our way and making a conscious choice today. And that choice is simple. It's inertia versus action.
This quote from the analysis we've been looking at just perfectly sums up the entire challenge. Let me read it again because it's so important. The greatest financial pitfalls stem not from unforeseen crises, but from a failure to engage proactively. That mortgage cliff, the pension shortfall, the savings getting eaten away, these are not random bolts from the blue. They are the clear, predictable, and totally avoidable results of inaction. And that brings us to the final and really the most important question. This is the question you need to ask yourself. In the face of these challenges, which are you going to choose? Will you choose inertia and just let things happen? Or will you choose action? The proactive, practical steps we've laid out today are what will separate financial resilience from financial distress in the years ahead. Look, my goal here wasn't to scare you, but to arm you, to give you the clarity and the confidence to protect your money and build a more secure future for yourself. The years ahead have their challenges, for sure, but they also have opportunities for those who are prepared. If you found this valuable and want to keep making smarter decisions, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the topics that matter most. Thanks so much for watching.